Hi guys, welcome to another video from Overbite Gaming, and today we're taking a look at Eternal Darkness, Sanity's Requiem. This is a 2000 and I think it's 2002. I do have details in front of me because I am a professional. Yeah, 2002 GameCube exclusive. The footage that you were seeing is captured off of my GameCube. I was fortunate enough that the one I bought off of eBay a few years ago actually had a digital out on it. So I was able to buy a doohickey which turns it into a HDMI. I will temper this with the caveat that the game, although it supports widescreen, it changes resolution, and as such, every time it does that, it puts the resolution up on screen from the little doohickey I've got plugged in, and also loses signal to my capture card. So what I'm going to try and do is just edit out all of the capture card sort of unable to find signal screens and just remove them. Some of this, so basically it happens when it goes into a cutscene or when I go to my inventory. So I will try and remove them. If I miss one or two, I'm sorry, I'm already giving this an extra evening's work because of it. But there we have it. In fact, sometimes I will have already gone in the inventory, used the item I needed, and the cutscene for the item sort of being activated is playing by the time it re-establishes the recording. So, not ideal. I was pretty set on doing it from my console, seeing as I have it, rather than emulating it, which would look better and probably wouldn't have that issue, but there you go. So such is life. So, Eternal Darkness, Sanity's Requiem is a story based around the Roivas family. Your main antagonist, protagonist, beg your pardon, is Alexandra Roivas. She's awoken from a horrible dream where she's fighting enemies that you will fight later in the game, because let's reuse those assets, why not? And is awoken by a telephone call from the police telling her that her uncle has unfortunately died. Which is, you know, unfortunate. His name was Edward, and he has been decapitated, and she goes to the mansion to identify the body, which she does so by the use of a ring that he was wearing. Not sure if that's quite good enough to identify a body with, but we'll go with it. And then she wants to find out what happens. All the police fuck off, and she's just in the house alone. And so begins your journey. Alex's story is kind of like the wraparound story. You'll play her between the other chapters of playing other people. You will play 12 characters in total. They all are quite different from each other. They all have you have 3 meters. You have a health, stamina, and sanity, and magic meter. And each character has different levels of each ability, and they have their different movement speeds. They have access to different weapons, and they are more or less proficient with them. It does keep the constant change of characters, but having always going back to Alex does keep you interested, because if it was just like bouncing from character to character, you might not, identify or enjoy the characters as much. But having Alex to go back to each time, you do have that sort of persistent character that you can build an interest in, and she's a cute hot woman, so why wouldn't you? So what this game is primarily known for is the sanity effects. And I will admit, one of them absolutely got me. In fact, I was recording when it did it, so yay, I have footage of me being an idiot. So, the sanity effects, as your character's sanity meter decreases, you will notice odd effects in the game. This can range from things that affect the characters to things that affect you, the player. And it's really spectacularly well done. The progression of technology has lessened some of it. Sort of think how amazing it was when Psycho Mantis read your memory card in Metal Gear Solid. Stuff like that. That was sort of how good it was. But I mean, just the little things, like you'll notice, like walls bleeding, statues following you around in game, to more extreme stuff like your character literally exploding. Not dying, just exploding and then coming back. But the more interesting stuff is the stuff that actually works on you rather than the character. So you might be playing and a volume menu might come up and it'll drop down. That's probably the weakest one. Oh, sorry, I've had some bacon crispies in there repeating on me. I shouldn't really eat before I do this. It's always a problem. But yeah, the volume one was kind of the weakest one because it's like that bright green notched volume sort of bar that you saw on like 90s TVs and you don't really see anymore. So you don't really mistake it for your TV lowering the volume. You just like, oh, it's the game doing it. Okay. There are other things that it does though. So for instance, this is the one that got me. It said I had an error with my GameCube and I should restart it. I'm like, oh fuck. You know, it's a second-hand GameCube, maybe even more hand than that. I don't know its history. So I was like, oh god, is it going? So I restarted it. And it was only when I started playing it again and, you know, thinking, fuck, I'll re-record all this, because I hadn't saved it, because I thought we'd just get the start of the game for you guys. It's not my playthrough or anything. I don't really care too much about the game itself at this point. So I hadn't saved it, and I was going through it all over again, and then I thought to myself, oh fuck, I bet that was a sanity effect. And yes, it's a sanity effect. It got me. I reset my GameCube and lost that progress because of the game fooling me. Bastard. But it does show you how well it is done. That I didn't even think about it. I knew what game I was playing. I knew it had shit like that in it. I knew probably in the back of my mind that was one of the things it did, but I didn't question it when it came up. I just restarted my fucking GameCube like a twat. So well done, Silicon Knights. So yes, Silicon Knights are the people that did this. They were also behind Blood Omen Legacy of Kain. They did, was it Too Human they did? One of the sort of Xboxy exclusives, I think they did. I think it was that one. But they never really, this was their peak. This and Blood Omen, I think this is, of the two, possibly the better regarded. Certainly because it was so unusual. What with the sanity effects, and it's a genuine horror game on a Nintendo console who is, you know, caters to the younger market usually. So it's just unique in so many ways. It's just quite memorable. Even though Legacy of Kain Blood Omen is a fantastic game, I still think this is probably the better regarded of the two. I don't think that's too much of a push to say that. The controls are not tank controls, which I am grateful for. Not because I dislike tank controls, but there is melee in the game. And when there's melee in the game, I do not want tank controls. Thank you. It makes sense in like Resident Evil when you're just using guns for the most part. But when it was in the first Onimusha, I was annoyed by it because it just doesn't work for melee weapon. You need to be able to like move around freely and not rotate and then move. Or like just weave as you kind of do when you're rotating on the move. So I'm happy enough with it being basically a 3D environment rather than a tank control one, because a lot of the guys you'll be playing with won't have ranged weaponry. There are some like more modern day stuff, but as like the character you play like go through the ages, so you start off with like a Roman commander, and you get this sort of Arabian guy, Karim. I can't, you know what I mean. I'm rubbish at picking up on where everybody's from. And then you sort of progress into one of your ancestors, and he has flip-lock pistols, and then sort of onwards, and you get a firefighter and a World War One soldier. So it's like, it really does run the gamut of like changing up the characters each time you go in. So even though you've like, I've got him down, I know exactly how to deal with threats with this guy, and it changes up just enough that you kind of have to relearn it a little bit. There's also a magic system in the game, and it's also very nicely implemented. So you basically make up the magic from a set of runes. You find the runes. You find out what the runes do. You find scrolls that tell you how to assemble magic spells, and you also find sort of the donor runes. Now, the donors are the ancients. So it's either Chaturga, Zellotath, and Ulioth. I so haven't got any of those right. I know I haven't. And they are right in front of me. I'm trying to read them. So, bah. Oh dear. We're just going to call them red, green and blue going forward, okay? So those are the possible antagonists for the game. So at the beginning you play as a Roman commander called Pius. And you go through a temple and you find a little room full of runes. There's 3 of them, red, green and blue. And you pick one, and whichever one you pick, that's the antagonist ancient for the game. And you also kind of die. He gets turned into a secondary antagonist by being basically shot with energy and made into, I guess it's equivalent to a lich, an undead with magic. So there you go, a lich I think would be the best descriptor for that. And he will show up. Now the colours do mean something, because there's a rock paper scissors system going on, and you have there's one that's weak. There's always one that's weaker and one that's stronger to the one, and you can imbue your weapons with the element of whichever one is part of a spell. So you can do more damage appropriately, or less damage if you fuck it up, I suppose. But there you are. Unfortunately, the red one, Chaturga, him, the red one, is apparently the strongest. His minions have a little bit more health, they do a little bit more damage, and of course I picked that for my first playthrough. This isn't the first time I've played it. I've had it for quite some time. It's always been one of those games where I've played it for quite a while. I mean, I don't think I ever got past the one where you're the monk. I can't remember his bloody name. It's like Anthony or something like that. I don't think I ever got past that previously, so it was always a case of, oh, I really enjoyed that, I'll come back to that tomorrow. And then something would come up and I'd play something else, and I would go back to it and I'd be like, oh, I can't really remember, I better start it again, and then I'd get a similar amount of time through and just fall off, basically. It's not because it was bad, it's just because I've got so much to play, because obviously I want to try and finish games as much as possible before making videos, because you know how you like the best review I can give you. But yeah, so this is the first time I actually sat down and finished the bloody thing. And I'm very glad I did, and I will probably end up gradually playing back through it again, because once you finish it the first time, you've basically got a New Game Plus where you can go back in and do the other 2 colours. That'll get you a secret ending, that will get you to other different bits and pieces, so the ability to replay any of the chapters. Also going through with the other ancients will vary the game slightly. There's always the boss fights, always enemy placement, obviously what colour's effective against what, things like that. So, and cutscenes are a little bit varied as well. So it's a nice touch for something that could just be a one and done, and be completely good with that, because it's a decent enough game. But yeah, it really gives you an excuse to go back through, and if you do all 3, I haven't done all 3, so this is based on something I've read, so take it with an ounce of salt. It opens up a purple one, which apparently is effective against everybody, so don't know if it's another playthrough or what, but there you go. That's what I've heard. Let me know if I'm spouting bollocks or whether that's completely right down below. So, Eternal Darkness, it's a great game. It's one that if I played it when it had come out, I think it would have blown me away. Now, obviously, I've seen tons of videos on it. I've played it on and off for like the last couple of years. And although I'm still appreciative of what it does, it just doesn't have the impact it would have. It's still a bloody good game, and I'd highly recommend it to anybody, even if you have to get it through alternative means, let's say, because they never ported the bloody thing. Then yeah, definitely give it a go. And if you've got a GameCube, I mean, why don't you have it already? Would be a good one. That if that was like, if we had 5 games on the GameCube, that really should be one of them. I'm just saying. Unless you don't like horror games, I suppose, which is not understandable because horror's brilliant. So get lost, soft. Anyway, guys, I think I've covered about as much as I want to tell you. I don't really want to go into the story too much. We'll go into combat, actually, because we haven't touched on the combat. Combat, you have a sword or you have a gun. Pressing the A button, which is the big one on a GameCube, because Nintendo just can't make a controller that maps nicely to other controllers. Bastards. This is the big green one, and that will attack. If you've got a sword, for instance, you'll do a combo with the presses of that. However, if you hold right down, not even right trigger, just right, you will go into sort of an aiming mode where you target an enemy, and then by using the stick, you can actually target different parts of him. So you can target the torso, the head, or the arms. And obviously, once you've cut his arms off, he can't really attack. If you cut his head off, he can't really see. Cutting the head off is also serve another thing, because a lot of monsters will glow their eyes at you green and start draining your sanity bar, which you don't want to happen, obviously. So cutting their heads off prevents them doing that. I've also found that, like, giving them a quick twat or knocking their arm off will also stop them doing that. But it's quite a lot of the time they'll be somewhere where they're shuffling towards you and it'll take a little while to get to you. If they'd be on a force field, say, that was a fight I had to repeat a few times, I'll tell you. If they're behind a force, you have to wait for them to come through before you can stop them, so you're losing sanity quite quickly. Luckily, once you've knocked them down, which on the weaker enemies, it's like both arms and the head comes off, they're on the floor, you can finish them. Or you can just accumulate damage by smacking them. Once you've finished them, they obviously go away completely or just burn up. And they'll also replenish part of your sanity meter, so it's a real good way to keeping you in the game, because your sanity meter will a lot of the times be pretty low until you get spells that will recover it. So that's the combat. It works pretty much the same with weaponry. You aim for the body parts, all that again. Very nice. And you will occasionally be able to pick up a second weapon, so you can like dual wield swords or pistols, stuff like that. So it's actually really quite varied in the stuff you can do and what you can get. You can pick up quite a few different types of weapons. The Gladius sees a lot of use, to be fair, but I like the Gladius. It's a good sword. Okay, so I've covered the combat, I've covered the sanity effects. I don't really want to go too far into the story. If you're familiar with Lovecraft, it's very much that kind of thing. Depending on how you feel about the ancient ones, the unseen gods of the ancient world that have been cast into the darkness and forgotten, now seeking to return. Yes, very much that, because that's essentially what's happening. So I think that's about it. All I've got to say about Eternal Darkness, it's great. If you've got a GameCube, you should have it already. If you don't, either get a GameCube or acquire via alternate means, but it's definitely a game that deserves to be played even in 2025. So with that said, take it easy, and I'll catch you next time.